Hello, everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're embarking on a genuinely fascinating journey. We are going to be evaluating what true national progress actually looks like. We usually just glance at a world map and see wealthy nations and developing nations as these permanent fixed points. But history? Well, history tells us a completely different story. We're going to trace one of the most dramatic national transformations in modern history, literally from historical ruins to modern global status. But more importantly, we are going to question the very definition of what makes a country advanced. Is it just about the money in the bank? Or is there something much, much deeper going on? Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with a rose blooming from ruins. Then we'll track the hard data in from recipient to donor and national status through indexes. Finally, we'll philosophically evaluate society in conditions of true advanced countries and beyond economic growth. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1. A rose blooming from ruins. To really, truly appreciate the sheer scale of this progress, we have to look at the unvarnished hopelessness of the post-war era. This incredibly pessimistic quote is attributed to General Douglas MacArthur as he looked out over the ruins of Seoul. I mean, think about how harsh that is. It perfectly captures what the international community thought at the time. Recovery wasn't just difficult, it was seen as virtually impossible. The country was completely leveled. Expecting economic development was quite literally compared to waiting for a delicate little rose to miraculously sprout in a garbage dump. There was just no hope. But fast forward to today, and we see this incredibly bold, modern prediction. Global investment bank Goldman Sachs projected that by the year 2050, this exact same nation will become the world's second richest country. No way, right? How does a nation go from being totally written off by history to being projected as a dominant global economic powerhouse? Well, just look at this contrast. On one hand, you have families literally struggling to survive amidst the rubble of post-war ruins, and on the other, a gleaming vision of a future economic powerhouse. This wasn't just a matter of improving a system that was already working. Actually, scratch that. It was more like building an entire civilization from the ashes up. It's a ridiculously steep climb. So, let's move to Section 2, from recipient to donor, and look at the specific vocabulary of this shift. The starting point of this nation's journey is defined by a core term, aid recipient, or in Korean, wonjo suhaeguk. Wonjo means aid or assistance, and suhae means receiving benefits. In the direct aftermath of the war, this nation survived almost entirely on foreign aid. We're talking food, materials, financial assistance, just basic things to keep citizens alive. This was the absolute baseline of international dependency. But here's the thing, they didn't stay there. Through immense national effort, rapid industrialization, and overcoming huge hurdles like the IMF crisis, the country did something completely remarkable. They made an unprecedented leap forward. That dynamic action is captured by the Korean verb 도약하다, to leap forward. They became the very first recipient in modern history to totally transform into an aid donor, or wonjogok. Notice how the suhae, the receiving part, is completely dropped. They went from standing in the global breadline to actively handing out the bread, a real game changer. Let's move to Section 3, national status through indexes, and see how this builds in the hard data. We measure this kind of success with numbers like this, 0.937. This is South Korea's 2023 Human Development Index, or HDI score, released by the UN Development Program. And let me tell you, this isn't just a passing grade. This score places the nation firmly in the very high human development category. Out of 193 evaluated countries and territories, they rank 20th in the world. If you want the actual receipts of this progress, here they are. A score of 0.937 puts the nation just slightly behind countries like the US at 17th and Iceland at number 1. Just look at these specific metrics. A life expectancy of over 84 years, an expected schooling length of over 16 years, and a gross national income nearly hitting $50,000. These are absolutely the hallmarks of a highly advanced society. And it is super important to understand that the HDI is not just another table ranking countries by their GDP. As our source notes emphasize, the HDI is essentially a three-dimensional scoreboard for balanced human development. It proves that this nation isn't just generating a bunch of cash, it's delivering long, healthy lives, an incredibly strong education base, and a really decent standard of living, all at the same time. Looking at all this data, the source material uses a specific Korean grammar structure to summarize the vibe. 한국인이라면 자부심을 느낄 성쉽다. The ending 을 성쉽다 means it seems like or I think that. It's used to express a really strong reasoned assumption, meaning, based on this incredible data, it seems only natural that any Korean would feel a deep sense of pride. But this brings us to the core philosophical twist of our explainer today. Are high index numbers alone actually enough to call a country truly advanced? That brings us to Section 4, Conditions of True Advanced Countries. To answer that question, we have to shift our focus to qualitative measures. Our source text makes this brilliant comparison between material wealth and mental maturity. Think about a wealthy, oil-producing nation for a second. They might have massive financial resources, right? Off the charts income per capita. But if you just have money without a highly developed civic foundation, you can't truly fulfill the definition of an advanced country. True advancement requires a balance: physical wealth on one side and mental or societal maturity on the other. So the crucial point hinges on this exact statement. Even if economically prosperous, without civic awareness, it is not an advanced country. In Korean, this uses the grammar pattern ʤ지언정. It's a really powerful way to say even if or although. It concedes the first point, like, yes, sure, they have wealth, but forcefully prioritizes the second clause. Civic awareness is absolutely essential. You can have all the skyscrapers and high-speed internet in the world, but if your citizens don't care about one another, the development is just hollow. Let's wrap up with Section 5, Beyond Economic Growth. And this brilliantly illustrates what civic awareness looks like in practice. It's the contrast between the ideal behavior of public order, people waiting patiently in an orderly line for a bus, and the reality of those chaotic, rushing crowds we so often see in societies that have experienced crazy rapid economic growth. The essay in our source text points out that when a society is completely focused on fast-paced, cutthroat survival, people tend to push ahead, honk their horns, and totally lose sight of those around them. Therefore, the true markers of an advanced society aren't just found in bank accounts. They're found in keeping public order, showing genuine consideration for others, and finally having what is called in Korean, 요-유. That's that sense of inner mental space, a room to breathe that allows you to actually yield to someone else. It basically means stepping far away from the panicked survival mindset of the garbage dump era and actively looking out for the well-being of your neighbors. Which leaves us with this final, lingering thought. We've seen the incredible leap from post-war ruin to top-tier global index rankings, but true national status, it's ultimately built on individual actions. So, in the rush of our own daily economic races, wherever we happen to be in the world, are we running too fast to show the consideration for others that truly marks an advanced society? It's definitely something for all of us to reflect on. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning what true progress really looks like.